So Marilyn is really sneaky, and she did something really kind of funny right there. When she said 15 days old, she actually meant that very intentionally. So why don't you share what you meant by 15 days old?
This is kind of what has brought me to where I'm at today as far as 4-8 Financial. The reason I got into infinite banking was my husband studied it for many years. And then he finally just said, Marilyn, we're doing this. And so we started a policy, a small policy. And then we did another policy. And then we did another policy. And we got policies on our kids. And they weren't big, they weren't little, they were adults, but we got policies on them. And then about 4 years into it, he said, Marilyn, you should probably start telling people, like, you should get licensed and do this. I don't know why he wanted me to do it, probably because of my personality, because he knows I love to talk to people. And so that's what I did. I got licensed, and I was working with a company, got introduced to Cole. Like I said, we hit it off right from the get-go. And Cole had... you were so excited about Child Millionaire, and you were telling me all about how every child in Canada should have an opportunity to have a policy on them, because if every child had a policy, they would be millionaires by the time they were 65, I think is the numbers or something. And anyway, it just was so intriguing to me.
Hey, this is Cole from 4-8 Financial. I am so happy to be with you here today. I am with Marilyn Burzuk, the client services manager at 4-8 Financial. I'm going to start with a quote. I believe quotes are very good ways to communicate a theme, a narrative, an idea. It was George Bernard Shaw who won the Nobel Prize in Literature sometime in the late 1800s. He was an Irish playwright. George Bernard Shaw said, the problem with communication is the illusion that it has occurred. At 4-8 Financial, we're not in a delusion of the illusion that communication is difficult. And obviously we're in the financial industry, we're infinite bankers, we believe in specifically designed the use of whole life insurance as an asset. One of the things that is so powerful about communication is our ability or inability to describe the solution to a problem. We get that when clients come in to a meeting, they're often frightened, and they're often intimidated by answering things like medical questions, and because they have to kind of talk about the truth sometimes about very hard, and they're kind of looking across the table at this man or woman as a financial advisor and they're kind of saying, what right do I have to communicate to you what may be right or wrong with me? And do I even know you? Do I have confidence in you? And this is why we've picked Marilyn as our client services person, because Marilyn is that person at 4-8 Financial who asks you these questions. Marilyn is a personal trainer. Marilyn's had multiple businesses. Marilyn is a mom. Marilyn is a. Tell me, are you a soon to be? Your son just got engaged. Okay, your son just got engaged.
Yet, but
grandma is on.
Not
years,
yet, hopefully.
But it's in the horizon. Your son, a few years. And Marilyn is an authorized infinite banking practitioner, and so we've chosen Marilyn very specifically to kind of communicate the most delicate part of the financial communication process, which is the info gather. It's the tell me your medical history, and Marilyn, I just wanted to kind of connect with you and talk about that. And I've been through it. And I even find that let's just get right into this right now. I even find that as a male, sometimes, I'm a financial advisor. I'm not a doctor, right? I'm not I would sit with women sometimes, and I would have to ask them this line of questions. And I'm kind of going, am I qualified to ask these questions? Do I come across, and I try to come across with empathy, And so, tell us why you're kind of excited about this role, why you feel as though, we believe Marilyn is like the prototype person to be. And so here's kind of what happens is, so you come in, you want to you want to start infinite banking. You meet with your advisor. The advisor takes you through how you apply infinite banking in your life. And then comes Marilyn to do the hard work, right? And so talk to us about that, Marilyn. Talk to us about that bedside manner, so to speak, that's demanding, and why you're so perfect.
Thanks,
for it.
Cole. I am so excited to be with you today. I have been so blessed to be introduced to 4-8 Financial. And it's just it's so interesting how we got to know each other, and we just connected right away. And then you introduced me to Wayne, and it's been so great. And I'm so excited to help people with infinite banking when I have the opportunity to actually talk to them about it. But more importantly for me, I have found a niche with 4-8 doing the applications. And like you said, it can be very uncomfortable because I'm asking very, very personal questions to people. And so I'm a pretty easygoing person. And I hope and I feel that when I do talk to them, I just make them feel comfortable. And obviously we have, everything is confidential. And I just take the information and I just pass it along to the underwriters. And I have, an obligation to the company and to the individual to make sure that all the information that they're giving me is confidential. And I just love it. I love talking to people. And I love seeing people get excited about doing infinite banking.
You must. So you were a personal trainer before, and I don't know if you're still dabbling in personal training or not. Okay, you're fully out of that. Financial advisor, managing the client services, dealing with the hard part of our job. You're making the thing we struggle with. You're making it very easy for us. So talk about, if you can, the similarities of kind of going through these questions, talking to clients about medical. There's got to be some similarity between when you were a personal trainer and clients were coming to see you to get healthier, to lose weight, to have more energy, and the things that they're sharing with you, and that kind of bedside manner that you have at the gym has got to be very similar to your role now at 4-8 as a client services and as a financial advisor.
I think I would like to say probably my biggest quality with my personality is I'm easy to be around, and people are comfortable with me because I'm not real serious, but when I need to be serious, I can be serious, and I try to put myself in their shoes. And because I have a couple of policies and I've had to go through the application process myself, and I know what's coming, I always reach out to the client prior to the application, and I introduce myself. I share a little bit about myself because I always say to them, you're going to be sharing some really private information about yourself to me. So I want you to know a little bit about me. And so I just try to put them at ease. And same with when I was a personal trainer. Like, I was where they were at one point. Like, you have to start somewhere. And so I just try to put myself in their shoes. I try to keep it really light. Sometimes it can get serious because if people have gone through a lot of medical issues, but we just do the basic that we have to do, and and I just try to make it fun, and I always go back to the fact that they've made this decision to start the infinite banking process, because I'm 52 years old, and I wish I would have known about this when I was 15 days old. But it's never too late to start. And so it's so fun to just, I can put myself in their shoes. And I think that helps a lot.
So Marilyn is really sneaky, and she did something really kind of funny right there. When she said 15 days old, she actually meant that very, intentionally. So why don't you share what you meant by 15 days
so
old?
this is kind of what has brought me to where I'm at today as far as 4-8 Financial. The reason I got into infinite banking was my husband studied it for many years. And then he finally just said, Marilyn, we're doing this. And so we started a policy, a small policy. And then we did another policy. And then we did another policy. And we got policies on our kids. And they weren't they weren't little, they were adults, but we got policies on them. And then about 4 years into it, he said, Marilyn, you should probably start telling people, like, you should get licensed and do this. I don't know why he wanted me to do it, probably because of my personality, because he knows I love to talk to people. And so that's what I did. I got licensed and I was working with a company, got introduced to Cole. Like I said, we hit it off right from the get-go. And Cole had... you were so excited about Child Millionaire, and you were telling me all about how every child in Canada should have an opportunity to have a policy on them, because if every child had a policy, they would be millionaires by the time they were 65, I think is the numbers or something. And anyway, it just was so intriguing to me. And so the more we talked, Cole explained it all to me. It was so great. And I ended up leaving the company that I was at. And that's where Wayne came in with 4-8 Financial. And he took me under his wing because he's also very passionate about child policies. And I know people, they always say, why would you ever put a life insurance policy on a child? But when you understand the power of this tool of infinite banking, you would say, why did I not put it on? And that's that. So 15 days old is that's when you can first put a policy on a child. And when you think about it, usually, hopefully, a 15-day-old child is not going to be declined insurance because they're healthy. They're just born. And so, and you start that policy when they're young, even at like $25 a month, they're going to have a nest egg when they're older. And the earlier you start it, and that is what just for me was, I want my kids to never have to worry about money. And the earlier you start, the better it is. So that's where I got with 4-8 Financial and Cole and Wayne, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. And especially now, I've got adult children, but I know I've got grandchildren coming up, and it's all my kids have policies on themselves. As soon as I have a grandchild, that child will have a policy on them. And yeah, it's exciting.
That's so exciting. And I love how you snuck that in there. I love how you were sneaky about the 50. You know, some people say things and you kind of let it slide. And Marilyn said 15 days old. And the viewer, you watching this was probably, what did she mean by 15 days? And that's the thing about infinite banking practitioners. Nelson Nash Institute authorized infinite banking practitioners is they speak fairly intentionally. And they speak fairly intentionally because of the fact that we work in a financial model that is very tangible. It's very consistent. It does. It's the only real financial strategy that does what it said it would do, frankly put. And that's, and Marilyn kind of pointed out that, a life insurance policy at 15 days old and then at 65, a millionaire. She's 100% right. Absolutely. Marilyn, what is it about, and you said something that's funny, people think, oh, life insurance on my child. I had lunch the other day with a person in the financial industry. She was a lawyer, and she was talking about, we're talking about Child Millionaire and putting life insurance on their child, and she said, I just felt so strange about it. And why do you think people feel strange about life insurance for children? What do you think comes up for them? Like, what's their initial reaction, do you think, to it?
I think the biggest thing is people think about life insurance as it's a death benefit. Right. And when you're talking about a child, why on earth are you talking about when they're dying? They were just born. And people don't, it's uncomfortable,
It's so
right? Like
morbid.
people are like, that is creepy. Like why are you talking about, but that's the thing. This policy is, it's not about the death benefit. It's about how you can use the tool while they're alive. And that's where the misunderstanding is. People do not understand whole life insurance. And it's been given a bad rap, I think. I think people are starting because we're getting the word out there. But if you can understand the power of this vehicle, that's how you have to think of it. It's a financial vehicle to get you from one place to the next, as far as where you want to be financially when you're younger, but especially when you're older as well. So that's what we're here to do, is to try to explain, the myth about whole life insurance. And it has to be designed properly.
Well said.
And that's why you need an infinite banking practitioner to, you don't want to just go to Joe Blow. You got to know what you're doing. So
it's amazing how many people I see, because to your point, I mean, that was very well said. You basically identified that for sure infinite banking is on trend, it's on the rise, it's becoming more popular. And it's amazing how many people out there that are not authorized infinite banking practitioners or advertising infinite banking, or they're coming up with their own version of it. And it's amazing how many of them, and I know personally, and I'm obviously not going to name names, that swing back around to me and ask me for advice. Hey, I just got a client that wants infinite banking, and they know that when I was licensed, I was authorized, or they're asking me, hey, do you know anyone that can help me with this policy design, or do you want to split on this policy with me? I'm like, wow, why are you holding out that way? I mean, why don't you just go and get the proper training from the Nelson Nash Institute, and why don't you get a mentor and walk your way through it? So yeah, I mean, it's completely amazing. And so just a couple last questions. I know we're up against it here almost for time, but one of the questions I wanted to ask you is kind of a fun question, is kind of around like how you feel. And I don't know if you relate how I feel when I'm just out in my day, and I'm, if I run into somebody, at a social event, or what are you up to? I infinite bank. Oh, maybe they've heard about it, maybe they haven't. And if they've heard about it, they have questions. If they haven't, they have infinite banking is in. Someone were to say I'm into infinite banking, I would be like, what is that? Or if I had heard about it, or you see people, you hear news stories about debt. The average Canadian is $200 away from insolvency. And you can Google that. That's a headline. It's CBC and Bloomberg, and that's a thing. 47%, I think, is the number. And you think, geez, to your point, and I'm 49 and you're 52, and it's like, I wish as well that I knew today, if I knew this when I'm 15 days old, wouldn't that be great if I get myself my own policy? But how do you feel emotionally? Do you feel like me? Do you want to just kind of like sing from the mountaintops, sing from the rooftops, and be able to somehow just spread this, if there was some infinite banking Kool-Aid that you could get everyone to drink to kind of get them to just, how do you feel emotionally? Do you feel frustrated sometimes? I wish everyone would just get this thing.
One of the things that saying, an old adage that everybody always says, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. That's honestly, that's like when AJ was telling me about this 8 years ago, that's exactly what went through my head. And that was a question that I asked a lot as I was getting licensed and as I was learning about infinite banking. And it's so interesting because it's not too good to be true. The bankers just don't want you to know about it, because they don't want us to get ahead. We rely on the banks. They need us to rely on them. When you're your own banker, you're not going to rely on them. So of course they don't want you to know about this. And that was one of the other things, Cole, that really, really attracted me to you and to 4-8 and to Wayne. What you guys say is truth. And I'm a strong believer in, I never want to lead anybody astray. I never want to give bad advice. That was another thing about Nelson Nash. Like he believed, he had a faith-based relationship with Jesus, and he did not want to steer people wrong. And I don't want to steer people wrong. And that is one of the reasons that this attracted me, is because I don't want to give false information to people. This is a tried, tested, and true vehicle that you can use, and it's legit. That was always my word,
Yeah.
legit. And it is. It's so legit.
Yeah.
And I never want to give people bad advice. And so, but yeah, it's not too good to be true. It really works. And it has saved,
Yeah.
I mean, AJ and I had our policies, and through COVID, we would have gone bankrupt had it not been for our policies. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
it works.
Wow, that is so powerful, and I mean, thank you for sharing that, because I mean, that's the stuff that people need to hear. I mean, especially coming out of COVID, and you know what the world looks like today as we sit here in the first part of May. We have a war happening in Eastern Europe. We have a pandemic to pay for, and families have gone bankrupt, and the number of times I hear stories of families that have had policies, infinite banking policies, and just like you, that got them through. And that's why they're designed. And they don't need to be that old. They don't need to be 8, 10, 15, 20 years old. I mean, these things can power people through. For me, the biggest thing that infinite banking did for me was it changed my relationships. It changed my words. My mentor, Richard Canfield, he said to me, Cole, opportunity will track you down. And I'm sure Nelson taught him that. He studied directly under Nelson, is that opportunity will track you down. And my financial life has changed dramatically in the last 3 years since I started doing infinite banking. Not so much because of what the policies are doing, because my policies, all 12 of my policies, are still only 3 years old or so. I didn't start this until my mid to late 40s. But the relationships that I have and the opportunities that have come from those relationships, because my words and my mind, my actions have changed. And the way I think about money, the way I think about banking has changed. And Marilyn, I love that you brought up Jesus Christ. I mean, there's one thing that we're not going to be shy of in this organization, is we're not going to be shy about our faith. And I appreciate that about you, and it runs through our entire agency. So we will, having said that, and I think Marilyn just kind of, wrapped it up so nicely, and I'll just, ask you, just final thoughts, Marilyn, and what do you want to leave the viewers with, and any nuggets or kind of words of advice or encouragement, and to the new parents, 15-day-old children, if they can understand you, God willing.
Yeah.
Or people, or retirees.
It's for everybody. That's the great thing. It's never too late, and it's never too early. And get a policy in place, and generational wealth is something that we talk a lot about. And once you start understanding that, I'm so excited for my kids. My mother-in-law, she said the same thing about, she's like, I wish I would have known this sooner. But she's put policies on my kids. And so it's amazing. Like it's never too late, and it's never too early. So, and I'm excited to meet with people, and it's all done through video, and it's at your convenience. I work around their time clocks, and I just love it. I love what I do. It's not a job for me. I just love it.
I'll promise you one thing. And this is an absolute promise. If ever you get to a point, the viewer, where Marilyn shows up on your computer screen, on your monitor, on your phone, for a meeting related to infinite banking, I promise you are so far down the road of changing your life or adding to any successes and compounding your successes. Because if you're meeting Marilyn, you've already decided to become implement infinite banking and become your own banker. If you're meeting Marilyn, you're well on your way. You've already passed our vetting, because we're not going to work with anybody. So if you get to meet Marilyn, you've gotten through the gatekeepers, because Marilyn has gatekeepers, and you're well on your way to the application stage. And I preemptively congratulate you. So that is Marilyn. I am Cole. We are 48 Financial, and we will see you soon.